Were you personally involved in raising money for the funds? Did you do any meetings with LPs and or your investors in the funds?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. So what are the questions that you, a couple of questions that came to your mind from LPs?
No, the first part was when we started, as I said, in 2009, the first concern which was expressed by many of the LPs was that the large industrial houses have not succeeded in the private equity business, number one.
Yeah.
Number two is, of course, I heard some of the comments which we just made in the previous session, that you are the first time private equity players, so you don't have the track record. So this was the second point. And third point is, will there be any conflict of interest? Because Tatas are all there in almost all the sectors of the Indian economy. Wherever you're operating, you've got a very strong presence, either number one or number two. So would there be kind of a conflict of interest when you are making investments in some of these companies? And would that conflict of interest give the right kind of a return to the investors? So I think these were the three main concerns. And can I answer what?
Yeah, what were your answers for this?
I think let me take the first point. We are a large industrial house, yes. But if you look at it, Tata Sons itself, which is almost now more than 100 years old, itself is a private equity house. I mean, Tata Sons over the period has promoted all these companies, starting with Tata Sons, Indian Hotels, you look at Tata Motors. So all these companies which have created significant value now for the investors, they were all promoted as private enterprises, unlisted enterprises by Tata Sons. And we created significant value for the investors through these companies. So in a way, Tata Sons itself is a private equity house. So maybe not following the 2/20 kind of a formula, but otherwise we are a private equity house. And therefore, I would say that we have the passion as well as the experience and track record of running the private equity business. Maybe not in the strict formula, as I said, formula of 2/20. Then talking about the other advantage of large industrial houses, that you bring in the expertise, because all of us talk about in private equity business, you need strong operating experience. If you want to be purely financial investor, I'm not very sure how much value you can create in the investee company in which you are investing. So unless you've got a very strong operating experience and you get involved in the management and affairs to whatever extent it's possible, you're not going to create value in those companies. So Tata Group, because of being part of a large industrial house, we bring to the table that kind of an industrial experience which many private equity funds don't have. And so that was the second point. The third point is, and when we are talking about our focus in private equity, is to make investments in the Indian companies, in India. So as we said, we have a large presence in most of these sectors of the Indian economy, and therefore we have a huge Tata ecosystem. I'm not talking, when I talk about Tata ecosystem, I'm not talking about Tata companies, but non-Tata companies which are operating in the Tata ecosystem. So you're talking about the suppliers to Tata companies, customers of Tata companies, and so on and so forth. So these companies kind of offer huge investment opportunities. Many of them are today not only looking at the Indian market, of course they have created a strong presence or creating strong presence in India, but also are looking outside of India. So there's a huge opportunity to invest in these companies in ecosystem where we can, as a group, contribute significantly in terms of identifying the right opportunities directly, not through investment bankers. So it really helps in terms of identifying the investment opportunities at an early stage before the, many of these private equity players complain about the very high value expectations from the promoters. Because I must say, I don't know whether there are any investment bankers here, no offense to them, but when the opportunities are brought to the table to the private equity players by investment bankers, as we all know, in India there are not many that good opportunities, and too many people chasing too small opportunities, naturally the valuation expectations go up. Whereas in our case, we can identify the opportunities at an early stage without bringing any investment banker to the table, and we can make investment directly. That's another plus, positive factor. The other point is many times we look at exit option through public offer, IPO. We all know the IPO market is very bad. I don't know how and when it will improve. Now, that's not the only exit option, according to me. And you can bring in strategic investors. And that's where we can bring to the table the strategic investors. Because being a large industrial house, when we have presence in almost all the sectors of the economy, in all the industries, so whether you're talking about automobiles, steel, telecom, whichever sector you're talking about, IT, we can bring the strategic partner who can be brought in and give an exit option. So and of course I talked about the operating kind of a support in the operations. If you look at it in many companies where we have now made investment, and I can talk about one company here, we invested in a foundry company in 2010, end of 2010. This was a hugely loss-making company. Today it's a very successful profit-making company. And why? Because we could bring in the technical expertise, the marketing expertise, and of course the quality and so on and so forth. Now we brought down the losses in terms of the wastages from some 17% or whatever it had to about 7-8%. And the work is still not complete. We need to bring it down to maybe 2 or 3%. This I'm talking about the line rejections and all that. Now this is something which we can bring in because of the expertise that we have. And we go to the extent of even providing the support on the HR side, IT side, treasury side. So with the industrial background or experience that we have, we can bring to the table everything that an entrepreneur or a businessman would like to have.